Alan Gugi, and welcome to the Offside Show. This program informs you on the most executive issues affecting the public globally in education, arts and culture, sports, and politics. But first, let's have the headlines.
Kenya has surpassed the 100-point mark for the first time in the World Rugby Series after picking 8 points from the London Sevens in the United Kingdom, with a 33-19 win over Wales. Shujaa were already guaranteed of attaining the mark even before the Wales final, after thrashing Argentina 42-10 in the semi-finals. They would be sure of at least 7 points if they lost the final, but the win ensured that they got the maximum 8 points. Coach Innocent Simiyu was pleased with the return and record-setting victory. Jeddah Tower is the world's next tallest building, rising from the desert. The building, which is in Saudi Arabia, will open in 2020 and will knock Dubai's iconic building, the Burj Khalifa, off its throne, as the tallest skyscraper in the world by 236 feet, which is approximately 72 meters. Jeddah Tower is going to be 3,280 feet, which is 1,000 meters, and is estimated to cost a whopping 1.4 billion. Kenyan referee Aiden Mara will not officiate at the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia after he was caught receiving a Kenya shillings 60,000 bribe from undercover reporters during the African Nations Championship (CHAN) in Morocco. In an investigating piece aired by British Broadcasting Corporation (BBC), done by a journalist known as Anas Amiremraye, Marwa was filmed receiving the gift at his hotel room.
Okay guys, on this episode of the Offside Show, we are going to take a look at matters corruption and how this issue has been a deep-rooted problem in Africa and mostly Kenya, to be precise. You guys can tweet me and start the conversation at _Ngugi at the Offside Show, and I will sample some of your tweets. Tony Grant says he's tuning to the show and from the side, and he loves it so far. So, ladies and gentlemen, first we're joined by African Duta, our correspondent on the ground, who has a story for us.
The Director of Criminal Investigation, George Kinoti, has set up a team to investigate the recent loss of 9 billion Kenyan shillings at the National Youth Service by unscrupulous individuals. The DCI said that the which consists of shrewd officers who will seek to establish how taxpayers' money could have been siphoned from the service by these individuals. He also added that over 40 individuals have been summoned to explain their role in the scandal that has threatened to cripple the running of the State Department.
I think as a country, we've made it management society in a sense that people are now looking into ways where they can benefit from anything that they are holding, especially public money, which they know is easy to come by. That's why having issues of people supplying things like sunlight and water, which we all know these are natural resources which you should not be paying for. And apart from that, we're finding people making quotations for things higher than a normal thing can cost. Having towels costing 100,000 shillings, having wheelbarrows costing 100,000 shillings. That does not make sense in any way, because these people are looking to quote the highest figure for an item so that they can embezzle off the excess funds and make themselves richer quicker, which is what people are being glorified for in the public offices. I personally think that is very wrong, and if I were to be asked, most of these systems that we're having in our government should be ripped off completely and built from scratch, because there's no way we're going to clean up one system and leave the other system with corrupt people. So that is my thought on NOS scandal. It was very sad to see millions and millions set aside for the youth, but being embezzled by people who should be working outside.
I think the NOS scandal is quite unfortunate for our country, because it shows that our systems are not working. The leaders are conspiring behind the scenes. We have big personalities, both the political leaders and the bank managers. They have been colluding behind the scenes to rob our country of public resources, and that is quite unfortunate. And you find that the consequences of these actions are making a few people get richer while the rest of the public is suffering. And I think it's quite unfortunate. I think corruption should be declared as a national disaster so that extreme measures are put in place before the situation gets out of hand.
Thank you, African, for that interesting story. And now we are joined live by African at Desta Valley Road campus. And if you can get me, African, what can you say is the situation in the field and what have you collected so far?
Corruption has been a great deal in Kenya. Recently, we had the NYS realizing that they've lost a lot of money, 9 billion shillings. So the Director of Investigation, Mr. Kinoti, launched a team to investigate where the money has gone to. We have so many youths being left unemployed. We also have so many problems in the youth sector. So will he find out where this money has gone to? What will the youth do? Over to you.
So guys, moving on. Don't forget the hashtag we are using today is corrupt menace and the handle is _Ngugi or the Offside Show. And let's discuss this matter together and keep this conversation going. And just to sample some of your tweets, at Patrick says that this topic has been discussed over and over again and all is needed is action. So guys, there you have it. Keep tweeting me at _Ngugi or at the Offside Show using the hashtag corruption menace. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be joined by some of our opinion leaders who are going to tell us a little bit more about this issue and what they think and what will they recommend about this issue. Well, guys, as I promised you, I'm joined by 3 guys from different areas, different backgrounds, and I'll start by welcoming Mr. Collins Onyonyi, who's a football player at Liberty FC, which is a football club in Division 3 in Kenya. So, Collins, if you can hear me, tell us a little bit more what you think about this issue.
This is something that has been spoiling the African game. Our football has been ruined by corruption and referees being bribed and getting worse team winning matches. Teams that didn't deserve to win, at the end of the day, you find them winning matches because of corruption. And this trend has been happening even here in Kenya. Many referees have been bribed and they determine the outcome of the match. So I think it was right for the journalists to use that unscrupulous method to catch the referee.
Thank you. Do you think FIFA should ban Kenya from ever reffing the World Cup, or should they give them another chance?
Yeah, in future, yes. One mistake, a mistake of one individual cannot affect the entire country. So right now it is difficult to replace him with another referee because World Cup is starting in 2 days' time. But in future, yes, in future, yes.
As a player, as a sportsman rather, how do you guys deal with, as a sportsman rather, how do you guys deal with corruption issues in the field or in your day-to-day lives?
For us players, it is difficult to handle corruption because it is something that is done. We can't see it being done. It's done underground, and you just see it on the pitch. You see some very wrong decisions on the pitch, and a player can do little. In terms of dealing with it. So we just leave it to our officials and federation to fight it.
And lastly, Mr. Collins, as a sportsman, what would you recommend? And do you think the FKF Football Federation Kenyan Football, do you think they're also involved in some corrupt issues?
I can say the federation hasn't been that transparent because many clubs have been complaining. You find clubs are unable to pay salaries of their players. They're unable to meet the operations because of and yet sponsors have released money. So it is difficult, and I think the federation hasn't played its role as required.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Collins. On to our next opinion leader. I'm joined by Mr. Anthony Bracken, who's the chairman of sports in Daystar University. And I'd like to sample some questions, to throw some questions to you rather, and ask you. Please, sir, tell us what you think about this issue.
About matters corruption in sports, it is actually sad that one of the most highly rated referees in Kenya, who was actually supposed to be in the World Cup, was caught in a corruption scam. The thing is that if he was caught within a span of 2 years, then it actually means that this is a thing that has been ongoing for quite some time, not until that investigation was done. So for us as a country, it is a blow because we expected much from him, yet indiscipline made him miss this prestigious opportunity to actually ref during the World Cup. So it is sad for the Kenyan community, especially the sports fraternity, that Aden Marwa was caught in this scam.
And with that in mind, do you think FIFA should give Kenya another chance to ref the World Cup?
Actually, what it just proves that Kenya is indeed a corrupt state. That is actually a few days after that NYS scam just came out. So it proved to the entire world that it's indeed Kenya is still struggling with corruption. So it actually painted our country in a bad light.
As a chairman of sports, what do you think, or what can you recommend?
For you to be a sportsman, it means one thing: you have to be disciplined. So if you're disciplined enough, it means you engaging in vices such as corruption, other things that are not considered ethical, is quite unfair. So for sports in this country, it can be done without corruption. As long as you're a sportsman and you embrace discipline, then the word corruption in sports won't exist.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anthony, for your time. Next, our opinion leader number 3 is, we're joined by Mr. Andrew Maina, and I'd like to pose a couple of similar questions and ask you what's your take on this matter.
I feel like when it comes to the whole issue of the journalist bribing the referee, I feel like it was planned. I feel like it was sabotage. Because how do you come and bribe me, then in turn record me, then tarnish my name and say, oh, Kenyan referees are corrupt and things like that. I feel like it was an inside job what he was sent, because it just doesn't happen like that. If he was found receiving a bribe from someone else, then that's a whole different story.
And what about FIFA? Do you think FIFA can give Kenya another chance?
I feel like that's a bit too presumptuous when it comes to FIFA, because I mean FIFA themselves are not the cleanest people. Just recently the head of FIFA was FIFA had an issue about embezzlement of funds and corruption. So I don't see why they should ban Kenyan referees. And on top of that, I mean, it was just one referee. Not all referees do accept bribes. Just one out of 54 million people in Kenya. So it doesn't really make sense to use him as what? As the PH skill for Kenyan referees.
How about your recommendation?
I feel like we should be a bit more disciplined we should just have discipline, because when it comes to matters to do with funds especially, that's where the corruption gets its footing from. I feel like we should just, if the money is allocated for a certain thing, it should be allocated for a certain thing and should be done to fruition. No corners, no finding a cheap way to do it. I feel like it should just done to fruition. And these people should also be held accountable by not only the superiors, but also by the players and everyone else who is concerned when it comes to the use of funds.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew. Thank you. We'll talk more about on this topic some more time. Thank you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Looking at our social media pages, I see that Mr. Kenya saying corruption is a very big issue in Kenya, and it should be dealt with as soon as possible, because it's making Kenya look like a horrible state, and it's like tarnishing the name of Kenya in simple terms. So guys, there you have it. The show was Offside. So my opinion on this matter, guys, I'd like to say that corruption is a very big issue, and I think Kenya as a country, we should try to deal with it, because I think that it tarnishes our name, which it does, because guys out there are so serious about this issue, whereas in Kenya we are taking it lightly, and as Africans we should stand together and fight this issue once and for all. So guys, thank you for your time, and I'd like to say that thank you for tuning in, thank you for tweeting me. Let's continue this conversation on our social media platforms, on Twitter at _Ngugi, at the Offside Show. Our SMS line, don't forget, is 2323, and our Facebook page is always open for you guys. So continue talking about it, and let's expand on this issue. Thank you so much.